Prime Minister welcomes investors. Also urging public-private partnership in energy sector. And COVID-19 protocols to continue in sports.
This is National EMTV News with Dennis Orere.
Good evening and welcome to Wednesday's news. Prime Minister James Marape has opened the door for more investments in the mine and petroleum sector. PM Marape says the government is serious about providing a better environment by improving legislative framework and other catalysts for a win-win situation for all stakeholders. The Prime Minister made this remark during the recent Mine and Petroleum webinar hosted by the PNG Chamber of Mines and Petroleum in Port Moresby.
Seminar or webinar.
In his opening remark during the webinar, Prime Minister James Marape applauded the backing of the mine and petroleum sector. He says the sector has generated revenue through tax, created over 30,000 jobs for locals and support levels of government. PM Marape gave his assurance for mining companies to open more dialogue for investment.
Let me give my assurance to all who are tuning in, all stakeholders in the mining and the petroleum space. We are not in the business of chasing away investors. More so, genuine investors, reputable investors, credible investors, especially those investors who've been with us in our story as a sovereign state, and those who want to come in with the investment dollars.
Teamed resource industry making it work for PNG, the webinar saw a number of presentations from reputable organizations in the mine and petroleum sector. The information shared hopes to carve a better prospect for the industry going forward. The PNG Chamber of Mines and Petroleum is positive this will guide all stakeholders to harness the true potential of the sector.
Whilst we recognize key concerns, my optimism is that the session today will help stimulate a pathway to enable meaningful collaboration between government and industry to focus on certainties, reduce our risks, and enhance our resilience going forward, leveraging global trends.
Attending the first two sessions, Prime Minister James Marape says his government has laid down a blueprint to reshape and enable better investment. PM Marape says any dialogue in this sector is crucial. He says such platform is for both the government and industry to be kept informed to establish an equal playing field for all.
We are here to ensure that the playing field is certain for you. The legislative environment is clear for you, and your comfort in investment, whether it's in the exploration space or in the development space, is certain. For no government, whether it's my government or any government into the future, as we have been in the past, will be reckless to change the goalposts in between.
Jack Power Jr., National EMTV News.
Lowering the cost of energy and electricity in Papua New Guinea is another agenda the Marape-led government is looking into. On a visit to the oil refinery at Napa Napa, Prime Minister Marape encouraged Puma Energy management to look at partnering with the government to reduce high prices of energy and electricity.
Prime Minister James Marape made a brief visit to Puma's control room to get an understanding of how the energy company operates.
SWR for fuel bunkering. Big ships.
In a short presentation, the whole process of obtaining crude oil from Kutubu in the Southern Highlands province and processing it into the different petroleum products was explained to the Prime Minister.
As a government, my major focus going into the future, something that is critically important to anchor our economy, is lower cost of power and lower cost of fuel in our country. We're looking for business partners who could assist us in filling this gap of finding solutions to lower the cost of fuel and lower the cost of power.
From the Kutubu crude, diesel and kerosene is produced and sold domestically. However, the prices are too high for average income earners in Papua New Guinea. Thus, the Prime Minister has invited Puma Energy to engage in discussions with his government to find ways to minimize the price of domestic petroleum products, including electricity.
I would like to take this occasion also to sound it out to Puma Energy. You're already here with us. If there are any ways you could launch out to partner us in government and partner others in the industry, then as a government we are on the search for partners who could assist, contribute to lowering the cost of energy, more so fuel of all kinds, whether it's jet fuel, whether it's fuels that run our vehicles or fuels that run our ship. The cost of fuels must come down. The cost of energy, power especially, must come down in our country.
Teklagunga, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, employees of Puma Energy celebrated a safety landmark of 14 million hours of working without an injury requiring time from work. Puma Energy Country General Manager Hulala Tokume attributed this milestone achievement to the high safety standards practiced by employees.
"14 million hours of working without an injury, requiring time away from work. This adds up to 7 years of safe working at all Puma Energy's 28 operational sites in the country. This record of safety milestone covers the refinery, 12 terminals, 12 aviation sites, the head office, and commercial centers throughout PNG.
Our commitment going forward is to maintain a safe workplace by continuing to set high safety standards, adopting the latest thinking and practices, and ensuring operational excellence in all that we do. Our recent introduction of the 10 safety laws into our business last month is all part of that continuous improvement and adherence across the business to HSSE.
Puma Energy is a vital player in the energy sector. According to its financial statement, Puma generated over $14 billion in 2019, with over 8,000 employees throughout the country, reaching a safety milestone of 14 million hours without injuries is a massive achievement for Puma.
Puma and those of you in the energy space, you energize our country, you keep our country running, you oil our country, you energize our country, and to have this achievement, 14 million hours of workplace safety, especially in the last few years when we were really stressed out, and for you to continue supplying energy to our country, I just thought on behalf of the country, I put my face behind the microphone and to give you that commendation right from our front as Prime Minister of our country.
Prime Minister James Marape said workplace safety is paramount and the collective 14 million man-hours is commendable for a company in the energy sector. Teklagunga, National EMTV News.
The SME Corporation launched a Training of Trainers program last night. The capacity building program is aligned with the 2016 SME policy, the Medium-Term Development Plan 3 and Vision 2050. The launch marks the start of the rollout program in the districts around the country. Formerly known as Small Business Development Corporation, the SME Corporation has the user rights to this capacity building program, which is an internationally recognized training program that is to be rolled out in PNG. Shifting with the times and adapting to current economic trends is the current goal for SME Corporation.
So this program is to create an environment of confidence, lowering the risk exposure of the banks and giving confidence to the banks that this group of people, these SMEs, have been certified and trained, and we are processing them through to the banks to give out loans.
The National Development Bank is a partner to SME Corporation, and despite having internal management structure challenges recently and having delays in rolling out the 80 million kina that the government allocated to it last year for lending to SMEs, the bank is adamant in continuing with its functions and achieving its goals.
A bit of a bumpy road at NDB, but I'm pleased to say that we keep doing what we've always done at NDB, and that is lending to the MSMEs around the country. So for the first 6 months of 2021, we've lent out 20 million kina to MSMEs around the country.
The Train the Trainers for provincial business development officers is a testament to the Marape Basel government's commitment to provinces, districts, local level governments that the SME Corporation would add capacity to their human resource officers to be partners in the growth and development of the sector in all regions.
The capacity building program is aimed at reaching a wider demography, contribute towards empowering all business development officers, developing and growing MSMEs, and supporting financial literacy and education to eradicate financial illiteracy. Managing the country's waste through an association and NES's call for a review of the Provincial Health Authority Act. Those stories and more when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Given the complex and evolving nature of integrated waste management in PNG, the Total Waste Management has established an association to manage waste in the country. The association will manage different waste streams and will partner with the Conservation and Environment Protection Authority to carry out their projects.
Waste is a resource. Unfortunately, in PNG, waste is managed as a byproduct of daily living that is disposed in a dump and forgotten. This practice sees PNG missing out on millions of kina and jobs that can be generated through a fully integrated waste management and recovery system. Conservation and Environment Protection Authority Director John Michael said creating this association will address waste management issues in the country.
I want to create a body that will be actually managing or actually have an affiliation from all the players in the country who are going down to managing waste and recycling those waste. So we'd like to have a body that will be able to represent those players in the waste industries.
He says managing and recycling waste can provide commercial opportunities.
So we got solid waste, municipal waste, and those waste, they can also be able to, transform into opportunities for commercial. So basically, an association that will be able to provide that, venue for those players in this waste industries.
Interim President Corey Chen says the aim of this association is to recognize and be the voice of the waste management industry.
So that as the waste industry grows in Papua New Guinea, we're able to provide that voice and feedback to lobby to government and also other stakeholders. It's a very new industry in PNG, but and I think waste has been always at the bottom of the list.
PNG has the largest waste management sector in the Pacific with a great potential to be a mainstay of the urban economy, but does not have the support of the government. Podivai, National EMTV News.
The Independent Commission Against Corruption Interim Chairman Thomas Elu has made comments regarding the constitutional reference filed by the Ombudsman Commission challenging the organic law. Despite the report made on one of the dailies yesterday, Elu says ICAC will be operating as usual, and he has made it clear that they do not duplicate functions. This was made clear in an interview with MTV this morning.
For us, it's business as usual. We're still working on the systems and processes to, endeavor to ensure that we establish ICAC proper. So that has not deterred us in any way. we still, the team is still working very hard in trying to build the systems and processes in terms of establishing ICAC proper. So for us, it's business as usual. From my understanding, even though I have not yet been served with a copy of the judicial reference that was taken out by the Ombudsman Commission, but I believe from what is reported in the media is that they're not challenging the entire law. They're only challenging some of the provisions of that law that they feel that it's unconstitutional. So for me, I have provided all my views about the organic law itself in most of our meetings with the Ombudsman Commission. I've also provided information to them about our views on the organic law, or my views on the organic law. But again, I have no issue with constitutional reference. The Ombudsman Commission is duly mandated by the Constitution.
Madang Resident Administrator Judge Iova Gaita is planning to bring National Court service into the rural districts of Madang and not just in Madang town. Justice Gaita says both the National and Supreme Courts are for the people of PNG and should not be held in Waigani or major towns only. Adding the National Court service is for the people and most of the people live in rural areas.
Justice Iova Gaita travelled to Karkar with law enforcers, including the public prosecutor, solicitor, and CS and police personnel. The judge and the team will be on the island for 3 days to bring National Court services to the rural communities in the district. Today, the judge hosts a court user forum at Karkar Secondary School for locals to have an audience with them.
But my people member and my people here, walkabout belong me come long kaka ino down him Yupala. Walkabout belong mitla bring him National Court he come long kaka believe belong me all of them. National Court na Supreme Court court belong people belong Papua New Guinea. Ino court belong Waigani Tasso.
Justice Gaita says he is willing to hold National Court cases in any rural communities as it also educates the people on the court systems.
See, when National Court move, National Court is expensive. But that, to my view, is money well spent for the people. Law and order. It is important that law and order, line below you, me only must look in what is happening with law and order. When we talk about law and order, what do we mean?
Local MP Chris Nangoy says this is the first time for the electorate to host a National Court second. Nangoy said Karkar Island population is more than 120,000 people with increasing crime rates. The district is now aiming to shift its focus into addressing law and order.
So as you can look towards your right, you can see that some development has been taking place. The first cell block has been completed. I'm thankful with the Department of Police. We are working hand in hand with together, and we have completed that cell block with 3 compartments that we want to cut down law and order. In front of the cell block, by next week, we will start to build our double complex police headquarters.
The district is also looking at getting in more regular police on the island in order to increase the police manpower on the ground. The electorate is requesting to partner with the justice system to improve the court facilities in order to allow more court cases in the future. Martha Lewis, National EMTV News, Karkar.
The Madang National Court has found a man guilty of sexual penetration of a child under the age of 16 years. Justice Iova Gaita said the accused Sonsong Gurang is guilty of rape as the victim was 15 at the time of the incident. The matter was adjourned to the 29th of July for a pre-sentence hearing for submission on the sentencing.
The Madang National Court has found Sonson Guran of Urgan Village in Karkar Island guilty of sexual penetration. The court heard that on the 1st of July around 3 to 4 p.m., the victim was returning from school with her cousin sister and decided to go to their gardens to harvest some bananas. Sonson, who was armed with 2 knives, approached her and told the victim he was going to his own garden. The accused pretended to walk past the girl to his garden, then grabbed and forced her onto a cocoa patch. He then told her not to report the incident, threatening to kill her if she did. But the accused pleaded not guilty in court, saying he was an employee of Kulili Estate and was working at the time of the incident. The accused further told the court that it was between 3 to 4 p.m. that he went home and later went to the garden. Now, because the defendant pleaded not guilty, the state lawyers submitted evidence and state witnesses were brought before the court to testify. A medical officer who had examined the 15-year-old told the court there were physical evidence to a private part confirming to the incident. The accused, however, gave unsworn statements despite being warned by his lawyer of the consequences of giving unsworn statements in court. Sonson Guran maintained in the court that he is not guilty. However, the 15-year-old was able to clearly identify the accused. At 2:30 p.m. yesterday, Judge Iova Gaeta found Sonson Guran guilty of rape. Martha Lewis, National, EMTV News, Karkar.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina will buy $0.2775 $0.3615 Australian dollars, $0.3890 New Zealand dollars, and 30.13 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee, cocoa, and copra closed higher, palm oil closed lower. Crude oil is trading higher, copper closed lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading lower. Still to come on National EMTV News, regional aviation ministers meet and helping women in rural SMEs. Stay with us for the details. Don't go away. Welcome back. The Papua New Guinea Civil Aviation hosted the annual Regional Aviation Ministers meeting today at the Stanley Hotel in the nation's capital. The Regional Aviation Ministers meeting is a strategic opportunity for Forum Island member states to discuss wide-ranging aviation needs in the region, such as safety and sustainability.
Aviation ministers from the Pacific region met today to discuss matters of strengthening regional collaboration for aviation safety and security. This is the first time for Papua New Guinea to host this event.
Coming by to cover a historic meeting. Historic in a sense that today's meeting, Pacific Islands Aviation Ministers Forum, first of its kind to be held in Papua New Guinea. Secondly, historic in a sense that as a sector, it was the forum was held virtual because of the COVID challenges we had.
A range of strategic topics have been raised, including the importance of aviation regionally for social and economic activity and the most pressing global issue of COVID-19 and its impacts in the industry, among others.
But looking at how we have addressed the issues, mostly COVID has affected most of our aviations in the region, Pacific region. Because when you actually see most of our income, especially tourism is one of the industry that was affected because aviation brings all the tourists.
Forum Island member states acknowledged the significant impacts that COVID-19 has had on the Pacific region and supported collaboration among Forum members, organizations and stakeholders to continue to respond to and recover from COVID-19 pandemic with the aim of providing benefit to all citizens of the region. The 2021 RAM saw two major outcomes, one including a treaty.
In a nutshell, it's about aviation connectivity for the Pacific. If you go to churches today, planes are packed, and those are the things that we are trying to come up with, so that how do we enhance the aviation sector forward, even at this in this time. One, two. Protocols of COVID, how do they come into play? Those are key issues that we discussed in detail today.
The Regional Aviation Ministers meeting is a product of the Pacific Islands Forum leaders' discussions, and the last was held in Tuvalu in 2019. The 2022 RAMM will be hosted in the Cook Islands. Kilawani, National EMTV News.
20 women groups in the Lower Sogeri Valley area in the Kairukuhiri electorate of Central Province were recipients of passbooks with PNG Women's Microbank last Sunday. Kairukuhiri MP Peter Isoaimo visited the area and launched the program, announcing a 100,000 kina assistance package for the 20 women groups, which is aimed at helping the women to go into SME. With women in the Lower Sogeri Valley experiencing difficulties in terms of requirements in accessing SME loans through the national government's SME policy and credit enhancement facility with BSP Financial Group Limited and National Development Bank, Kairukuhiri MP Peter Isoaimo has decided to have the women groups access loan funding through PNG Women's Microbank. Similar arrangements for women groups in other parts of the electorate have also been established in recent months.
Me committee one long money mark also 100,000 finish long bank play me lo pay over so holy also revolving fund lo you plow get a mama lo Kairukuhiri money me no pay yet but me direct him CEO play me also time I think 2 days ago Prime Minister direct him also lo minister na me also vice minister lo ready more warrants lo finance lo pay him sample more DSIP money come.
The 20 women groups in the area will each receive 5,000 kina from the 100,000 kina assistance package earmarked for the passbook program.
Lo all get a mama lo here 20 plus groups one time me ama mas 2 lo makim money mark enough lo 100,000 lo you all 20 group and me local sem by you one group by got 5,000 each.
Kairukuhiri DDA Women's Representative Anna Ofu encouraged the women to strive through challenges as SME will open doors for greater things, acknowledging the Passbook initiative with PNG Women's Microbank or the Mama Bank.
It's about time that you work in a little market. Now you talk some agriculture, you talk SME, you talk planning something today. Because Passbook you open me, you sleeping, and boss very micro and talk. Once you make him living market, you must go and work in savings play. You must come up with money inside of this little passbook. Now behind of this law, leader blue by stepping and looking. Now by adding up, now by you can start to make him SME or something you got big plan.
The 20 women groups were appreciative of the initiative and the actual launch of it, providing an avenue for the women groups to establish themselves in formal SME activities. Trukai Sports next, and the Hunters are back in action. Join me after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Queensland Rugby League declared that the round 12 matches of the Intrust Super Cup would go ahead despite announcement of a 3-day COVID lockdown in southeast Queensland and the Townsville region. The QRL hopes the lockdown will lift as planned by 6 p.m. Friday, enabling a full round to proceed after last weekend's bye.
The SP PNG Hunters will be looking to put a halt to their 7-game losing streak as they take on the Mackay Cutters in this weekend's Round 12 clash at the Bycroft Oval on Saturday. With the return of strike players Terry Wapi and Brendan Gutuno, the PNG side's attacking options have been boosted. However, it has been the Hunters' dismal efforts in defence that has let them down. Winger Gutuno has been sidelined for the past 12 weeks after fracturing his arm in 2 places back in round 3, while fullback Wapi has played only 1 match since round 6 due to an ankle injury. Wapi has scored 12 tries in his 19 appearances since his debut in 2019, while Gutuno, in his 32 appearances, has been a regular on the flank since 2018 and has scored 3 tries in 3 matches this season. The Hunters have named an experienced backline to face the last-place Cutters, who are 4 points behind the PNG side on the ladder. Regardless, the Hunters cannot be complacent given their current form, with Mackay having been competitive against several of the top teams. Huxley Lovai, Trukai Sports.
COVID-19 protocols will be continued for sporting competitions, with competitions expected to have no crowds and encourage temperature checks. While the country's premier rugby league competition, the Digicel Cup, has only vaccinated players playing, the local competitions like Port Moresby Rugby Football League don't have the same orders.
The Port Moresby Rugby Football League, which had gotten approval to start their 72nd season with the pre-season 9s tournament, have once again for the 2nd year forced to adhere to protocols. But despite some competitions having had their athletes receive the first jab of vaccination, the Port Moresby Rugby Football League has reserved the right to vaccinate for COVID-19 to their players.
So far, it looks as if it's not compulsory to get vaccinated to play in this competition. Down the line, we might get instructions down, but we'll wait and see what transpires here.
The Digicel Cup competition had let go players who didn't get vaccinated, and Port Moresby Rugby Football League is welcoming those players who wish to join the competition.
The players that have been pushed out from there, they are open to play in the Port Moresby Rugby League competition.
There are still some COVID-19 protocols that the competition must follow, and they are currently being tried out during the 9s tournament.
The 9s competition, as we know, is a very speed competition, and we're just trying to adjust. We're testing some things around here in 9s. Like you can see that most of the teams are locked out of the gate. We have 4 teams coming in, and then when the team that's on the field finishes, they just walk out, and we allow the other 2 teams to come in.
The proper season of the Port Moresby Rugby Football League is set to kick off the following weekend after the conclusion of the pre-season 9s tournament.
Port Moresby Rugby League does not want to leave the other legacy clubs out, so Hawks and Brothers will be included in this year's competition.
Fidelis Sukina, Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. A newly established club in the Kaugere Rabia Amateur Basketball Association yesterday received new jerseys from local businessman Stephen Kilage. The club goes by the name Leftovers, is one of the new teams in the competition, and we're grateful for the support.
The name Leftovers, a typical reflection of how the players were brought together from the settlements of Kaugere, received their new jumpers. Coached by Willie Murray, the Murray family is known for producing some of the best basketball players. Coach Murray, who gathered these young athletes, say keeping the youths busy in such competitions will distract them from taking part in unlawful activities.
Kan all mangilo switcha mi pla pikimol na mi pla walking misla team Leftovers. Mi mas kichimbol na mi mas line mol play basketball. Milas lo weekend all go na walking kan passing all youths na.
The Leftovers Club is one of the latest additions to the Calgary Rabia Amateur Basketball Association. Sponsored by Stephen Kilagi, the team comprising of 15 males and 15 females looked colorful in their new set of jerseys.
I think it's good, keeps them out of trouble and criminal activities, so it's good that Honorable Justice Zhichenko has done a lot of sporting activities in Calgary. We're just backing up Honorable Justice Zhichenko. He's doing so much in Mosby South, and this is just something to help the community.
Team captain Billy Norman acknowledged the support and looks forward to producing some positive results in their game this weekend.
I like to thank you, lo Stephen Kilage, lo supporting pla, lo sponsors side, lo Zampa, I'm trying best, lo winning this la, Amas plus season, I'm play, I'm try lo winning this all games.
Meanwhile, Mr. Kilagi has applauded Mosby South MP Justin Chachenko for his efforts in creating sporting avenues for youth to participate in.
And I'd like to say thank you to Honorable Justice Zhichenko for hosting these kind of games. They're good for youth empowerment and keeping kids out of. It used to be a trouble area, Calgary, but now it's becoming a really nice place because of all the sports that they've done.
Suli, Trukai Sports.
Weather report for the next 24 hours after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby, partly cloudy with possible patchy showers. Partly cloudy and windy for Daru. Kerma, cloudy periods with few showers. Alotau, cloudy periods with a shower or two. Popondetta, cloudy periods. To the Momase region, Ley, cloudy periods with some possible showers. Wewak and Vanimo, cloudy with some showers. Medang, partly cloudy with few showers. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau and Kaveng, cloudy with some showers. Kokopo and Rabaul, partly cloudy. Kimbe and Buka, cloudy with few showers. In the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, cloudy with a shower or two, then morning fog. Goroka and Kundiawa, cloudy with patchy rain, then morning fog. Mendi and Wabeg, cloudy with few showers, then morning fog. Forecasts for small crafts for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru to Kiwai Islands, with waters from Kiwai Islands to Kerema to Yule Island to Hood Point, to Samarai Islands to Cape Vogel and eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, and with waters of Finschhafen through Vitien's Dampier Straits to Siasi Long Islands, seas 2.5 to 3 meters. Waters north of Cape Vogel to Huon Gulf to Finschhafen, seas 1 to 2 meters. Waters north of Long Island to Medang to Wewak to Aitape to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, and with waters of West New Britain, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of New Ireland to East New Britain and Bougainville, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Forecasts for PNG areas in the Coral Seas. Seas rough to patches very rough with east to southeast winds of 25 to 34 knots, gusting to 48 knots at times. In the Solomon Seas, seas moderate to rather rough, becoming rough along southern sector with southeast winds of 15 to 25 knots, with gusts reaching 34 knots over southern sector. To the Bismarck Seas, seas moderate to rather rough with southeast winds of 15 to 25 knots, and in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with southeast winds of 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's the way it is this Wednesday, the 30th of June 2021. From all of us here at EMTV, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.